And welcome back to the Hot Lap. All of the fallout from the BTCC is now. Yes, what an absolutely interesting Donington. I figured Ash Sutton was going to win all three events. He didn't, but he did finish on the podium of all three events, and he's fairly happy with himself. Having said that, Tom Ingram, extremely happy as well. So let's get into the BTCC headlines, shall we? So we've obviously got ecstatic Moffat. He's absolutely ecstatic about his weekend and that win. As I said, Sutton happy despite no wins, though podium triple. A good way to start the championship. Not as good as Tom Ingram, but as we said, it is very much early days. The Huff, not the Hoff, returns and shows he still has it. He's still as good as he once was. I think that old country song goes. And this was quite surprising. On yesterday, I think, at the time of the recording, it was yesterday. It's now May the 1st. The 30th of April, the BTCC unveiled their 2025 calendar. So, I mean, interesting stuff. Absolutely interesting stuff. So, let's get into Aiden Moffat winning on that first weekend. I think it's the first time he's won on a first weekend, and he said himself, it means so much. So Aiden Moffat said that winning on his debut for Speedworks, this is from touringcars.com, times.com, it meant so much to him as he enjoyed the strongest start to a BTCC season at Donington Park last weekend. Now, along with Josh Cook, Moffat switched to the Toyota Corolla squad for the 2024 run under LKQ Euro car parts with the synthetic, or the, excuse me, I'm trying not to hiccup, with the synthetic, I can never say that right. Synetic, whatever, banner. And he made an instant impact as he claimed what was a really memorable reverse grid victory at the Leicestershire track, fighting with Rob Huff all the way. Get into Rob Huff in a bit. So following on from a pair of battling drives in races 1 and 2, he lined up on that front row and took his chance fighting with Rob Huff, and he said the car has felt great all weekend. We started at the back of the grid for the first race, but that wasn't the pace of our car. That was just the new qualifying rules which really penalised us. And one thing on these qualifying rules, I do think it does and it will have the potential to mix the grids up, because they're in, they're almost like in Football League formats. You only 6 go through, for example, from each side, or whatever, and then we have like the main qualifying session. I think it's a really, really good shake-up, which is needed, because even though you had the hybrid, I mean, you had familiar faces at the front, and I think it does potentially randomise the order without the need for things like ballast and hybrid, which we've already got in the BTCC. It's a much, I think, more natural way of changing up that order. Anyway, he said, I digress. Aiden Moffat said the aim was the podium and I had to be aggressive early on. I was trying to be sensible with hybrid, he says. I knew we were weaker in the second half of the lap, so I was trying to deploy where I could. Everyone at Speedworks, he says, has done such a great job. It has been a really hard few weeks. Lots of long hours ahead. He was saying about lots of long hours ahead for the season. After 2 top 10 finishes early today, it would have been great just to fight for a podium. Never mind standing on that top step. It's been a couple of tough seasons, he said, for me, and it's important this year for me to show my pace and win again. So to do that at the first weekend means so much. And absolutely, I think it is. It is really important for Aiden Moffat to get on board, because we were, if I'm honest, even doubting him a tiny bit. I said, yeah, podiums. I doubted a win. Aiden, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We are sorry. We doubted you. Maybe never again. But one person I didn't doubt, but I was surprised he didn't get a win, was Ash Sutton. But he is happy to begin with his title defence with a podium hat-trick. I think the only driver to finish on the podium all 3 times, which, to be fair, at that first race with that new qualifying session, is no mean feat. So, this is from touringcartimes.com. Ash Sutton, he left the opening round of the British Touring Car Championship at Donington Park in high spirits. Now, the Napa Racing UK driver was one of the stars of the show in qualifying on Saturday. He blasted his Ford Focus onto that front row, missing out on pole by Tom Ingram by a mere half a tenth, for example. But on race day, the 4-time champion shadowed Ingram in races 1 and 2 to record a brace of second place finishes before concluding with a third on that reverse grid run. Now the results leave the reigning title holder, the reigning champion, in second in the standings, just 9 points adrift of Ingram as the series moves to Brands Hatch. At the time of talking, week and a half. So to come away with 3 podiums is a really strong start to the season and a good base for us, he says, to build on heading into the coming rounds. We had to wait a little while to get things up and running, but when we did, the racing was fantastic. He said, I've really enjoyed myself out there. The quick 6 qualifying was awesome for everyone, and having that extra hybrid deployment certainly had an impact on racing. In race 1, I had to claw my way back past the BMWs, and I didn't think we quite got the tyre pressures right, which hampered us ever so slightly. He goes on to say race 2 was another strong drive as we had a great battle with Tom, and when I made the move on Jake, I knew I had to follow it immediately, so I just sent it down the inside of the old hairpin. To end the day on the podium, he said, given where we started and with the hybrid laps we had, was a bit of a surprise, but it's a testament to all of the hard work that everyone at Napa Racing UK and Alliance Racing has put in over the winter. The car felt absolutely phenomenal. So absolutely well done. And another guy who I don't really think got the credit he deserves, bearing in mind, he's definitely not a rookie, but he's back. He came back. Was Mr. Huff. Now, he was really, really unlucky. I think, was it row bottom that hit him on the first race? Really unlucky. But I think he was, a lot better. Really, really solid. I can't wait to see him at Brands Hatch. So for the majority of the final race, in the season opener, the car in front, as Murray Walker once said, the car in front is a Toyota. And it was the Toyota of Rob Huff. Now, following a brace of productive free practice sessions around the Leicestershire circuit in Donington, Toyota dude, Mr. Watson, and his teammate Andrew Watson headed into this new style qualifying for that first time. So it was unpredictable and changeable. Watson excelled with he's the reigning Jack Sears Trophy winner, advancing to the quick 6. Huff, however, was less fortunate as a procedural issue meant he was unable to participate, restricting him to 20th and last. So grappling with what people would consider an imperfect setup in what was very tricky conditions, Watson ultimately finished 10th in race 1, while a feisty Huff charged into the points into 13th, only to get caught up as collateral damage. The Toyota Corolla GR hatchbacks, they ran in tandem in the coming up to the mid part of race 2, which was now, thankfully, a dry track. Ever the canny optimist, Huff took advantage of squabbles ahead to pick off some of his rivals, ramping up his pace as the laps ticked down, finishing 9th. But it was the final race where the 44-year-old got really stuck in, and in front of the live TV cameras, he started. And when Morgan locked up and ran wide, approaching McLean's on lap 6, Huff was through. Morgan got the jump on him, but pressure, did Morgan bow to pressure? I was convinced at that point, to be fair, that Adam Morgan was going to win the race. But the pair proceeded to put on quite a show for the hardy spectators who had, braved earlier in the rain. And absolutely, they deserved that show, didn't they? After spending that whole morning absolutely soaking wet. And they traded positions before the Toyota Gazoo Racing UK man conceded some ground. Eventually, sadly, I thought no podium. It was such an injustice. In a way, well, not an injustice. I was so sad. But someone had to finish 6th, and it was Rob Huff, sadly. But yeah, Rob Huff, absolutely. He said, for the first race weekend of the year, you just want everything to run smoothly and without any complications. Whereas it felt like we had pretty much everything thrown at us, qualifying, clearly frustrating for everybody on my side of the garage. He carried on saying, I've had to come through many times during my career and make something of it. And we managed to do that again. Everything is new for me this year, and ultimately, the racing is the easiest bit because racing is racing. Sunday marked the most I've ever driven the Corolla, and we battled hard and improved throughout. He concluded by saying, I'm learning all the time and feeling my way back into the championship. We're still missing a bit of speed from me and from the car and marrying the two together. But to come away with a 9th and a 6th after starting at the back 2 times out of 3 is a big positive. So let's have a look at this 2025 calendar. I for one are going to be really interested. This is the first time I've looked at it, so I've saved the reaction for you guys. So the schedule, let's have a look. I mean, Alan Gow said it's good news for our partners, stakeholders and fans that we can confirm next season's BTCC earlier than ever before, allowing important planning to commence for all parties. The schedule has become a tried and tested formula in recent years and is universally backed. Last year I said we were unlikely to release our calendar any earlier than mid-May. I was wrong, said Alan Gow, and we're delighted to be able to announce the schedule earlier than ever before. So, once again, we're very similar, kind of similar to here, I think. We've got Donington Park starting off rounds 1, 2 and 3, then off to Brands Hatch 10th, 11th of May, similar times to this year. Then the 24th, 25th is Snetterton. The 7th and 8th is the Thruxton rounds. Then Alton Park on the 13th of June, 13th, 14th, 15th of June. Croft in August. Knockhill again, up to Scotland, then back to Donington Park, but it's the GP track. Silverstone, and then Brands Hatch finishing us out, as is tradition, on the 28th, 29th, 30th of October, and in September, obviously, it's Silverstone National. I missed, what is it? I think in 2020, obviously, we had the pandemic that had the 2 Silverstone rounds, the national and international tracks. I think that would have been really, really interesting. But there is your BTCC calendar. Thank you very much. This has been the Heartlap. Like and subscribe if you can. I would very much appreciate that. And we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.